I think it's important to keep track of the wins. And it's just as important to stay sober about where we really are as we attempt to make America great again. On the culture war, the truth is we've been winning. Look at the scoreboard. 27 states now protect women's sports from men. 27 states have banned so-called gender-affirming care for kids. And 24 states have enacted age verification laws to keep porn away from children. And then there's the biggest win of all. President Donald Trump using the left's obsession with gender ideology to expose them and winning the greatest political comeback in American political history. That's not nothing. That's a movement with momentum. But if we're being honest, we still have a long way to go. And the threats to our families are not disappearing. They're evolving. Democrats haven't backed off of their campaign to push gender ideology onto children. They're not retreating. They're regrouping. They're working every single day to claw their way back into the White House so they can undo everything that President Trump has accomplished. And now there's a new battlefield, AI. The technology is already being weaponized to sexualize kids, isolate them, and warp their minds. We're talking about a tool that can make children dumber, lonelier, and more suicidal. And in fact, we've already had more than a dozen documented cases of AI-related adolescent suicides. That's not a future threat. That's happening right now. And while all of this is unfolding, families are still staggering under the economic wreckage created by Biden and by decades of leaders who hollowed out the American middle class. They gave us the two-income trap, where both parents work just to survive, only to hand most of that second paycheck over to daycare that the government then subsidizes to grow the dependency even more. But, and this is the good part that people forget, God is good. He gives us glimmers of hope. And one of those glimmers is that we finally have serious legislators in Washington, people who don't just want the title. They want to save the country, protect children, and rebuild the American family. One of those legislators has become a real hero to me over the years. Congressman Ben Cline, a Virginia congressman who's a fearless advocate and a man who actually takes the job seriously, joins us today. Congressman Ben Cline, welcome to the Terry Schilling Show.
Terry, good to see you. Good to be with you.
Good to see you. So I actually saw you yesterday at the Republican Study Committee's Media Row. It was kind of a circus.
Cattle call,
total cattle call. I just got to ask, what do you guys study over there?
At the RSC, the Republican Study Committee is the conservative conscience of the House. And so we have a majority of House members. I'm proud to be the vice chair, but what we focus on are the strengths of the members. And every member brings something to the table, but we want to make sure that the policies that are coming out of the House are well thought out, are aggressive, but also reflect that conservative ideology that we share, that the president shares, and that the American people who elected us, a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican president, want to see implemented. This is what they voted for, and this is what we're working on. So the Republican Study Committee gives leadership these bills to put through committee, to put through the House, and to hopefully push the Senate and keep them a little bit more honest when it comes to adhering to that conservative ideology that the voters want.
Well, can I share something with you that I've been studying lately?
Yeah.
Which is random Wikipedia pages. And
those are dangerous.
I came across one the other day that I think is kind of relevant to our current time, which is the people that have gone over Niagara Falls.
Really?
You might know Charles Stevens, the demon barber of Bedminster.
I've heard the stories.
So he concocted this barrel. He thought it out greatly. He created a barrel, put the anvil in the bottom of the barrel to serve as like a ballast to keep him up. So he was worried that if he went over, the barrel might be upside down, and then he wouldn't be able to, turn it over, and he'd suffocate and die. So he concocted this whole thing. He tied the anvil to his legs at the bottom of the barrel. But when he went over Niagara Falls, the anvil actually ripped him to shreds on impact. The only part of his body that they found was his severed arm, which is buried in Ontario, Canada. But he did this. His wife Annie, they had 11 kids, and demons. This original term for daredevil, I learned. But they had 11 kids, and that's what he resorted to take care of his family. But that's ironic, right? That the anvil ended up
Yeah,
destroying it.
sometimes the best intentions go awry. I'm glad you weren't just looking for vacation or opportunities for some new activities out there. But and I won't put that down as one of our fundraising ideas for next session. But
Well, I think the anvil is AI.
ah,
Right? Like they think that it's to save us. It's going to take us into this new great world, but it's ripping our kids to shreds. You look at what AI is doing to sexualize kids and isolate them. It's caused already over a dozen suicides.
yeah.
It's totally crazy. So I know Congress is talking about regulating AI and putting some protections. President Trump's been clear about that.
Yeah.
What are you hearing and what are you seeing?
Well, it is recognized by our members, by the Republican Study Committee, as both a promise but also a danger. And the dangerous effects of AI are being felt already. And as you said, the impact on kids, the impact on suicide rates. And we do need to approach it as the danger that it is. It is as dangerous as the internet has been for children, with the wide spread of pornography and child pornography and the criminal activity on the internet. The dangers for children, it's real, and the apps that they have on their phones and the isolation it really is. The internet has been both a blessing and a curse for children and for the next generation. AI has that potential as well, and we have to be very careful as we approach it. I've been honored to be on the AI task force that the Speaker appointed to study this issue, and the RSC has been studying this issue. So regulation is going to be a part of the solution, and we're determining just how that regulation needs to be approached.
President Trump. So one dynamic here, when we saw with net neutrality, California passed net neutrality, and essentially because there's such a dominant state when it comes to internet and technology, it forced the whole country into net neutrality. Mm-hmm. And there's this similar dynamic where Scott Wiener, the weirdo legislator in California, is writing all of the AI legislation out there, and now that's going to determine our AI policy for the whole country. President Trump, I think, as a response to this, is pushing for preemption. Do you have a position on that?
Super dangerous to have a left-wing liberal out in California writing regulations that are going to be the blueprint for the whole nation. And we've seen that happen with the internet, and we've seen that happen time again with California with, even things as basic as cars and the manufacturing of energy efficient cars, which Virginia unfortunately decided to just tag itself to California's regulation. So anytime California got more restrictive, Virginia had to get more restrictive. And the left in Virginia has unfortunately gone off the deep end there. And we need to de-link ourselves from California. And the president sees the danger there. And he has rightly said, maybe we need to look at a pause in state regulations, because the left will advance faster. And then we can look at making sure that we are implementing it responsibly, that families are not being put in danger, and that children are not being put at risk.
Yeah, I what I've heard from the White House is that they're pushing for preemption, but they're going to have some basic protections, especially for kids, so that they don't get onto these weird chat bots and the suicide thing, and the parents getting some parental consent before allowing the kids to get on there. If that's how it plays out, I fully support it. I just think that we Congress actually passed age verification and laws to protect children from adult content online back in the 90s. Supreme Court struck it down, and now they're back saying, oh, actually, age verification is constitutional. So I just think it's time to get the internet up to speed. If this thing was preemption with age verification for AI and adult content, I'm like all in, because it's time to get that done.
I think some basic protections are needed, and the sooner we can do that, the better, and allow this technology to progress and be utilized by industry. Because if we don't win the AI race, and it's a race with China, you're going to have China weaving AI into everything that we use And that is going to enable them to gain access to a lot of our technology, whether it's not our bank accounts or our financial records, our technology information, all of the stuff that we use online. China will have a better angle to steal, implement, spy.
They're great at stealing.
They are
Spy.
so great at stealing, and we fight them every day on that. But so we've got to win the AI race. We can't win it with overregulation or state patchwork regulation. So we do need a light touch federal preemption. I think the president's on the right track.
Yeah. Are you worried about AI changing how kids think and making them dumber, or even how there's an interesting story. I'm blanking on the name of the publication, but it was kind of a scandal because it was a news website, and it was clear that the article was written by AI, by ChatGPT, because at the end there was a whole section of, what ChatGPT typically says, like, would you like me to make changes? Would you like me to make it shorter or punchier? And they included the whole thing in there. But the thing that worried me, and we were talking about this with my team yesterday, and the thing that worried me is that in the comments section and in the replies on Twitter, it was, oh, yeah, this is obviously AI because of the M dashes. So they totally they're not reading the full article. They missed the section where it's had the ChatGPT prompt, and they're just looking for M dashes because that's what we've been told, AI does.
Right. I mean, I think that, yes, when you have children able to use AI to write their papers or to do tasks that you and I used to do, whether it's use the internet for research or go to the card catalog, and I'm that old, but these skills are helpful for adults to innovate and create, and for those skills not to be developed when they're children does harm them ultimately long term. The theft that goes on by China is part of this, and their ability to weave into AI the types of results that are going to influence your children as they use AI unknowingly. That's a danger. So we've got to confront China early, but we also have to tell our kids and teach our kids properly that AI should not be a crutch. It should be a helpful tool, but only that.
I think one of the things that bothers, so I back in April, May, there was a whole policy launch on AI, and it was the Anthropic AI guys. They were at Butterworth's, and they were talking and just so callously about how this is gonna, and foolishly, by the way, I think they were talking about how the AI is going to eliminate every job out there. So we need to start figuring out new economic models. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, work is actually good. Like it gives you purpose. It gives you meaning in your life, and you're just gonna introduce this and take everyone's jobs, and you don't think there's gonna be anything bad that happens? I think that would be a catastrophe.
The value of work is such an important lesson that we teach our children, and we have to continue to stand up for that core principle in our federal policy. And so we're not trying to eliminate jobs and send people home to sit on their front porches and drinking mint juleps and talking about the weather, and then never going to a job and getting a paycheck, I don't know, from the federal government or something. That just is contrary to everything that we stand for. So we want to give, but as the internet did with the shift of jobs, internet created a lot of different kinds of jobs, software development, things like that. AI is going to disrupt, but ultimately, I don't think it will be a net loss of jobs. I think it will just be a shift in the kinds of jobs that are done.
Mm-hmm. The electricians are going to go through a boom cycle. I mean,
right.
They're all over the place.
If you're working on a data center, up in Northern Virginia, you've got a job for a long time, but they're not very popular out my way. People don't want these big hulking buildings, just disrupting life out in the country.
I have a controversial take, which is that there is a form of healthy struggle, right? Like struggling means you're growing. Mm-hmm. If you're having difficulty doing something, you're learning something. Even if it's being poor for a bit of your life, You're learning how to be thrifty. You're learning how to not waste money. Like there's silver lining in everything. And if you have the right attitude with it, it's good. It's like my kids, when they're in school, they struggle. But I explain to them, it's good that you're struggling. That means that you're learning, you're doing something you've never done before, you're building new skill sets, and you're becoming smarter. You're becoming stronger and better.
Yeah.
And I think that if we eliminate struggle, if we eliminate sacrifice, this is going to be a really bad time for Americans.
Yeah, that would be the wrong direction if AI took us there. And America was built on opportunity, and opportunity is not just opportunity is given to you, but it only is helpful if you take advantage of it. And that taking advantage of it means working to improve yourself, improve your life, improve your family's situation, and you do that through struggle, through hard work, through education and innovation, and that's what America stands for. The president gets that, and that's why I'm so proud to be working with him to implement his agenda.
Yeah, it's like if you're not willing to struggle for it, if you're not willing to sacrifice for it, it's not really worth anything.
Right.
You eliminate the value of the thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of the value of the thing, the hottest thing in the news regarding the economy is affordability.
Yeah.
Especially for families. I look at my perspective from as like, I got a boatload of kids. My wife and I don't know if I told you yet, we got our 8th kid coming in March.
Great.
Which, God keeps blessing us. We love them. 5th boy. I mean, my house is just going to be destroyed for years.
I joke that with 2 girls, I traded the property damage bills for the drama. So I get the drama of girls and none of the property damage bills of boys, but you have both.
Yes. But I look at like my perspective, and I think I'm not that far off from everyone else. The 3 things that are crushing our family are housing costs. Like we bought our house when we only had 3 kids. And I can't buy another house because the interest rates are so high, the housing prices are so high. Like I kind of waited out.
You're buying bunk beds in bulk.
Oh my gosh, yes, exactly. And they break them every year, so I got to get new ones. But it's housing, it's education costs, right? So like I'm in Fairfax County, Virginia. You have a much better school districts in your district, I'm sure, but it's 9-0 on the school board. They're all super woke. I mean, they all represent the teachers unions. And I found out that only 34% of kids in Fairfax County can read at grade level, do math at grade level. It's totally asinine.
Ralph Northam, our governor during COVID, did a terrible job of locking everything down and really did a terrible damage to young people in schools. They stopped learning, and getting it back on track has proven to be a big challenge. Glenn Youngkin did a great job of trying to improve our school system after COVID and fix the damage that was done, but there's still a long way to go.
The thing that bothers me though about the affordability thing is I have to pay right now with all my kids, I'm at $5,000 a month.
Wow.
To send my kids to a school where they're actually going to learn how to read, they're actually going to learn how to do math, and they're not going to get like indoctrinated into like racism and self-hatred and trans ideology.
Right.
So like that's a huge chunk of it. And then on top of that, you have healthcare costs.
Oh yeah.
Which Obamacare was a total disaster. Like I'm the eldest of 10 kids, so like the whole big family thing, it's runs in the family apparently. But my dad had a $10,000 catastrophic plan, $10,000 deductible, $400 a month. My healthcare plan after Obamacare, $6,000 deductible, $3,000 a month.
Crazy.
It's crazy, and that's subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
I think that they set this whole thing up. And on education, I didn't even talk about college.
Well, that's where I thought you were going with education. I know. But you can talk about private education. You can talk about higher education. You can talk about housing. Talk about energy costs, your electric bills going up because of Democrat policies, Green New Deal. Talk about you can talk about healthcare. All across the board, these are all pressure points for affordability because go back and look, why are things unaffordable right now? It's because of Democrat policies that they put in place. Sometimes it was a long time ago, Affordable Care Act, housing policies, Green New Deal regulations at the state level too, and the local level where they just pile on builders about how to build houses now. and all of the eco-friendly stuff that you have to do to these houses to make them more energy efficient, put solar on there, whatever. And then to rent them or to sell them, they've got to jack the price up to a point where it's unaffordable for young couples. So all across the board, energy with the Green New Deal, your energy bills, because gosh, in Virginia, they've mandated certain levels of production for our electric companies have to be coming from renewables.
We have clean energy compacts in Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so terrible.
It's just so bad. And so that's why electric costs are going up. You look at healthcare, I mean, as I said, so all across the board, higher education, as soon as Dodd-Frank and Elizabeth Warren brought lending for higher education back into the federal government from the banks, higher education institutions decided, well, we can charge as much as we want because you can borrow as much as you need.
Right. Right.
And so they started hiring all these administrators. And so, our higher education professor levels have stayed flat, but the assistant deans of whatever DEI topic of the day is get hired by the dozens. They have to pay for that, so they charge you more. You have to go take out loans until you're 40. I'm still paying on my law loans. But and then you get a job at Starbucks when you graduate and you can't afford to pay your loans back. I think we need to put some stake in the game for the institutions so that if you're not working in your major when you graduate, that either the interest on the loans you took out or the payments themselves are shouldered by the institutions until you get that job.
Well,
but affordability is all across. It's because of the Democrats, and that's what we have to undo.
Yeah, it's just about control for them. And these, when I hear green energy compacts, there's got to be a way to make sure that people, when they hear green energy, they don't think trees and grass and bushes, things that turn CO2 into oxygen. They need to think money. This is not about like saving the environment. It's about taking more of your money, and it's a tax increase.
Absolutely,
it's an enormous tax increase for all of their buddies and all their friends. It's going to bankrupt the middle class.
Democrats are great at creating problems and then coming up with solutions to the problems that they created, but their solutions are always more doubling down on the original problem. With healthcare, let's just send more of your tax dollars
we need
to insurance companies to, and so subsidize the high cost that they created by destroying the insurance markets and not instead creating competition. So you have more of the comprehensive policies like your dad had, the catastrophic care policies, something that's going to fit. I had an HMO when I was 22. And it was junk. I mean, it was, I went when I was really sick, waited in line for a long time, got what I needed, but my premium was, $22.50 a month. And so it was nothing. And so that was what I needed when I was young and healthy. When you're older or when you're not as healthy, you need more, or you need a catastrophic care policy. It's going to be able to fit you and your family's needs.
One thing that we were talking about yesterday as a team is, there was this amazing book written called The Two-Income Trap, and it was about how families were getting stuck. They were basically, both parents were working, and they were buying homes on both incomes to get qualified for. And then once you do that, well, now you need both incomes to keep making that mortgage payment.
Jacked up childcare.
And childcare.
And that's another thing that Democrats, especially in Virginia, used to be you'd send your kid down to neighborhood grandma down the street. Yep. She'd watch them for just a little bit, and you wouldn't have to pay her much, and your kids learned a little bit and came back, before they went to school. The regulations, especially in Virginia, on this industry are so strict now that you're almost creating these little mini hotels for the regulations are through the roof, and that's what makes childcare so expensive. So again, Democrats causing the problem, causing the problem, and now they want to subsidize childcare. Well, that's this again, the government-run solution to the problem they created, and we've got to let the marketplace work, and that will help solve a lot of the problems that the Democrats created. But they're fighting back.
Yeah, it's totally nuts, and it's totally terrible, and it's Soviet, right? Like you read about the Soviet Union once your kid turned 3, they had to go in a state-sponsored daycare. And like the American version of that is like, you get to send your kids to daycare and we'll pay for it. It's the same outcome. It's the same separation of children and families.
Yeah, indoctrination is their goal, and the slow slide to socialism is part of their goal. They know that they can't just shock you with a government-run healthcare plan. Universal healthcare won't pass because it's not popular, but that's their end game, and so that's why Obamacare was set up the way it was, designed to fail, and it's failing just as they had planned it, and now they're pushing for more government involvement in healthcare, and ultimately that's where they want to be, and we have to turn that ship around. It takes a little time, but the president's on board. The House and Senate are working through the problem, and hopefully we'll have a solution here in the next month or two.
The more the plans fail, the more the planners plan.
Yeah.
That's what Reagan said.
That's
and
right.
It's so true. And it's because it's not about solving the problem. It's about solving their problem that they're trying to solve is they have a lack of power and control
Accruing
over
power.
the rest of our lives.
Yep.
Can we change topics a little bit?
Yeah.
I just got to admit something. I kind of love all these bombings of these Venezuelan drug boats. Like, the left is freaking out about it. They're saying this is unconstitutional. Apparently drug cartels have, due process. Apparently, like, I didn't think the Barbary pirates got to like litigate things in our courts when Jefferson took them out. But like, apparently, the left thinks that these guys should be able to just flood our country with drugs and not suffer any consequences to it. I don't know.
Narco-terrorism is a real thing, and it is destroying lives in my district, in districts across America. Families are being ripped apart. The addiction rates are through the roof. And President Trump has rightly argued that we should take this to the source. Let's go and take on the cartels where they are in Venezuela and in Mexico. And, and if it means targeting a boat laden with drugs, heading for America to infect American society and addict American families, then we need to take them out. So I am confident that the Constitution is being followed, the law is being followed. I'm on the Intel Committee. We're getting briefings. And so I'm supportive of the president's actions, and I'm standing up for families who have been so hurt and so destroyed by drugs for years and years coming from these countries. He is going to the root cause and taking action, and I commend him for it.
I mean, they have to know that what they're doing is dishonest, right? Like, who are these like normal South American families that are just taking a random boat in the middle of the Gulf of America that we're shooting down? Like that it makes no sense at all. Like, they stay by the coast. If you have a boat and you're a normal family and you're not trying to get drugs across the Gulf of America, you stay home. Like, you just hang out. You don't go too far away.
We just got back from monitoring the elections in Honduras, where they actually have, well, first of all, they have photo ID, and they have quite a few verification tools.
Honduras is more secure elections than us.
And the counting, because we were there was a spotlight on the incumbent government to count responsibly, and I think they took it seriously. It appears from all we've seen that the election has gone fairly, and it's close, but they're within a point of each other, so there's a lot of recounting. But one thing we noticed, we were told that the drug traffic has picked up on land and on the Pacific side of Honduras, because the Atlantic side of Honduras, there's not a lot of traffic going on right now, because you get in a boat with drugs, and it's likely to be targeted by those who are trying to stop the drugs from getting across to the United States. So it's funneling the drug traffic. The effect is that it's easier to combat when it's coming across the land. Yeah. And so it's actually improving it, the combating of drug traffic on land in Honduras and in other countries in Central America. So it's having an impact, and it's not just impacting families here at home, it's impacting the war on drugs at the source, and that's where it should be fought.
Yeah. No, I love the strategy. I think the people that love this strategy of killing these narco-terrorists are like the parents, the families, the friends of people that have lost loved ones to opioid overdoses, right? And We all know someone. I have a high school friend that absolutely overdosed on opioids. This is like over a decade ago, right? I mean, this has been happening for far too long, and we just kind of let it go to where it's like, I think it's 75,000 deaths a year. It's probably more than that now.
It is, and families are affected here at home. Let's talk about a similar equivalent: terrorism, not in the water, but on land or in sand, where terrorists have killed not just Americans worldwide. ISIS targeted and killed Americans around the world. So we targeted ISIS back in the Middle East. We would send in drones and other ways to take out these terrorists, riding in a truck, going with missiles, with bombs, with whatever they were going to commit acts of terror because they were affiliated with ISIS. These are terrorists who are affiliated with drug cartels, engaged in an act of terrorism by traveling on a boat rather than a truck, traveling in water rather than on sand. But the actions we are taking are very similar. You have to take them out where they are so that they do not kill American citizens, and that's what the president's doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad something's finally being done. And I think if we get JD in there in 28, I think it'll keep happening. And then hopefully this problem really does start to go away. I'm trying to think of what there were other. Latest thing that's been hot in the news. President Trump, and look, I don't want to get you in trouble. You're a member of Congress. We got to get you reelected. But, he was talking about these immigrants who come here with a sense of entitlement. I love immigrants. They're great. They work very hard usually. My great grandparents were immigrants from Germany and Italy. But they came here and they just worked hard. They didn't think they were owed anything. They were just so thankful and happy that they made it to America and they had a new opportunity to start a life and build a family. But Trump got in trouble because he's like, these people come over here, they commit crimes, they complain, they do fraud schemes against our tax dollars. If it's so bad, then go back. And you're not allowed to say that. I don't know why. Okay, if I came here from Italy or France or whatever, and I was complaining all the time, why wouldn't I go? If it's so bad here, and you didn't win the lottery by coming here, then why stay here? I don't understand that. And I'm not saying get out if you disagree with policies. I'm saying if you really think that America is a systemically racist country and it's evil at its core and its DNA and it needs a revolution, go back then, right? There's a difference between disagreeing with what the Democrats or Republicans are doing and saying this country's evil and flawed at its core.
Well, America is the greatest country on earth.
Period.
And it is a draw for people. People want to come to America to be part of the land of opportunity and freedom and liberty, and they want to escape tyranny and they want to escape dictatorship and oppression. We have to have a better process of vetting. We don't. It's not a guarantee that you can come in. You have to apply, and we have to recognize that there are people who are applying that are coming from, whether it's a war, who need a refugee status, that is a sympathetic country that we can welcome you in, or if you have a specific talent that we are in need of in this country because we don't have enough trained individuals in a specific area, sure, you can create an opportunity for someone to come in and be part of this melting pot that is America. It's not a place where you can bring your troubles from your country or whatever dangers that are in your country to America and start to cause problems in America. We were talking earlier about the Klan violence that is in Minnesota, and the Somalis have immigrated and brought the Klan warfare that is in Somalia to Minnesota, and these clans are still fighting each other in Minnesota. And as Tom Emmer, who's from Minnesota, as our majority whip, said, all Somalis are not terrorists, but that there is a problem in the Somali community that they have brought over from Somalia that needs to be addressed, and we need to do a better job on the front end when we vet these individuals, that they are not going to bring their, for lack of a better term, baggage that it comes from their home country that's going to do harm once they get here in America.
That's a big deal for Tom Emmer to say that, because it's not like he's like a bomb thrower like Marjorie Taylor Greene or anything. He's a pretty reasonable, even on a lot of issues, moderate.
Unless you're talking about hockey, then he gets all wound up. But yeah.
No, but the other thing is, it's like the whiners give all the immigrants a bad reputation. And there are a lot of good people that come here that want to just start new lives, that want the economic opportunities, want a better life for their kids, and they get slandered by all these loudmouths that are just constantly whining about having to live in America. I mean, God.
Well, it's not just whining. I mean, if people are coming in here on visas to study at our universities and then create a culture that is hostile to a certain segment of American society, Jewish Americans,
Yes.
and their ability to get an education because their classrooms are being barricaded or they're being protested, not allowed to go to certain parts of campus, that's a real problem. And so the president rightly has instructed his DOJ to make sure that people can go to class freely if they're in this country. And Marco Rubio is rightly saying, when you're here on a visa, student visa, you're given a gift to come here and to study, not to come here and to harm the ability of Americans to study or to criticize. You can criticize, but you can't criticize in a way that harms the freedoms and liberties of law-abiding Americans. So I think he's right to review and possibly revoke, in many cases, visas for foreigners who come here not to study and get an education, but to try and limit the ability of others to get that education.
It's like you go to college to learn. Like that's why these institutions are established.
Should be.
It's not.
No.
You're not going to college to be a political activist to overthrow the American government and the Constitution. Like, if you don't want to learn, if you don't want to get an education, then you should get out, right? Like, you don't get to come here as a foreigner and start a revolution that you don't have to clean up the mess up. Like my kids, I'm going to have to clean up the mess of a crazy revolution that you started out of nowhere. So anyway, what am I missing? What's America missing? I mean, you're in the belly of the beast, Congressman. What aren't people paying enough attention to? What do they need to look at?
Man, so much is going on in Washington right now to undo the damage done by the last 4 years. But what President Trump is doing on trade is fundamentally reshaping the economic might of the United States by focusing on tariffs. And tariffs, I've had a maturation of my views on tariffs, where originally I was much more of a free trader and much more opposed to them as a tool to rebalance trade relationships with countries that are abusing that relationship, like China. So trying to use tariffs as a short-term tool to right the ship, as it were, is a great thing. And what he's doing with these countries is bringing back manufacturing to America. And that is something that, you didn't really realize how service economy had overtaken manufacturing economy. The United States had really shed so much of its manufacturing base with NAFTA. It's been a bipartisan effort to send jobs overseas so that, yes, you can get a $9 T-shirt at Walmart, but at the same time, you've got families who are struggling here at home because they don't have those steady manufacturing jobs. And he is, that's where I think he's going to have such an enormous impact for the long term. It's going to be under the radar. It's going to be hard to measure but you're going to start seeing this just economic lift for not just our economy, but for families, for communities, for the strength of communities. I think when it comes to drugs and all the dangers that happened when we lost our manufacturing base. We saw people lost and unemployed and having to get short-term jobs, gig economy. We're changing the tone for the long term, and this president is going to be one of the most impactful in our history when it comes to setting the course toward greatness for America for the future. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, you hear the establishment or the elite, people on MSNBC or CNN about tariffs, and they're like, "This is going to increase prices." Well, it's going to keep more money here, right? Like $20 that stays in America is worth way more than the $10 you might save on a spatula from China, right? Like I'd rather pay $20 for a spatula made in America where the $20 stays here than give $10 to China to make it, right? It's
Right.
that $20 stays here and it helps my neighbors, it helps fund our schools, it helps build a stronger society. That's like kind of the purpose of American policy.
Right, right. And we want lower prices. We want cheaper goods, but we want those goods to be manufactured in this country. And if these tariffs are temporary, if it brings these countries to the table that have been abusing
Right.
our policies for so many years.
Or their own people through slave labor like they do in China.
Exactly, exactly. If we can get away from those policies, and China is entering into a very difficult economic time right now, and we don't want to take our boot off the neck of the Chinese economy. Mm-hmm. We want to continue to. They are our adversary. They are doing terrible things through theft and fentanyl and drugs and being sent to this country, and all the other ways in which they're TikTok and the warping of the young people's minds. They're engaged in a long-term battle against the United States, and we don't want to let them regain that economic advantage over us. We want to push, and that's what President Trump is doing.
Well, Congressman, I really enjoy this conversation. Where can people find you and stay up to date with you and maybe even give you some support?
Yeah, cline.house.gov, and it's CLINE like Patsy.
Yes, sir.
Who is from Winchester in my district. and then that's across all of the social media. And then the RSC, Republican Study Committee, I would Google RSC, and they have such a wealth of resources. And you can be heartened when you visit the site to know that the conservative conscience of the House is alive and well and thriving, and we are continuing to put forward ideas that are going to help us rebound from these Democrat disasters and lead this America into a great new age.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it.